Natty make we chant down Vatican now. Bang the ling bling chant down Babylon kingdom. Natty make we chant down Vatican now. Chant down Babylon kingdom. Natty make we chant down Vatican now. Bang the ling bling chant down Babylon kingdom. Natty make we chant down Vatican now.
What up, y'all? It's Babylon 5 Podcast. It's your boy, Jermaine event. I'm looking at the video of, as I'm recording this shit, video of myself that I placed on YouTube. If you guys aren't following your boy on YouTube, please go subscribe right now. Hit that like button and let's run those numbers up. But regardless of all that shit, I'm watching myself and it's just like, I think it like buffers. So the sound is, everything is like, it's like half a second delay or some shit. And it's throwing me off right now. Just to watch it in real time, to watch myself laugh. And then to watch myself laugh half a second later. Like, it's fucking just, it bothers me. Like, I can't watch a show or anything like that. If I turn on Netflix or some shit, and sometimes the sound is off, the words don't match, I'm like, I can't watch this shit. It can't be on the screen. I cannot see this. It's a pet peeve, man, and it's really bothering. But anywho, I think I do a good job of after I record the video, I think I do a pretty good job of matching up the sound and my lips, because I don't know, as I'm saying, it bothers me. And sometimes I'll match it up perfectly, export it. I'm watching it, back when I was like adding in all these fucking clips and shit before I was doing it all here with OBS, before I was even really doing video. When I was just doing, I was doing video, but I wasn't uploading to YouTube because I was recording with a camera that wasn't connected to the computer, and I had to like then take the memory card out of there, put it into the port here, drag that shit over here for like 37 hours, then fucking try to import it somewhere. It was just a long ass process that a nigga was just not trying to get into. So like back then, I would like just upload the videos. I'd make clips and upload those videos to Instagram. If you guys are long time listeners, first time callers, then you're already aware of this, that I used to just post these videos and then add the GIFs and all that. But yeah, it's fucking time consuming, and my point in that is that when I did it that way, I didn't have to go back and match the words. Or I did actually. I did, because and that would piss me off too, because I would use the audio that I'm doing here, that I'm recording here on the podcast, and not the audio from the camera, because that audio's not fucking refined with all the fucking shit on it. It ain't got the works on it. You know what I'm saying? These vocals if you guys are listening to the podcast, the audio, it's got my podcast vocal chain on here. Otherwise, there'd be a lot more background. Hopefully it's to a minimum when I listen to the podcast, I don't really hear too much. Sometimes I'll be like, fuck, I left that air filter on. I'll be like, yeah, that shit's playing through the whole goddamn thing. Hopefully nobody really is bothered by that, but I try to make a point to do that. Ooh, I just noticed something. I just noticed that I didn't get the vibe right. Yeah, I didn't get the vibe right. Oh, there it is. I was like, damn, and now I don't know where the remote is. See, my wife, my lovely wife, she does these, like, she finds these cool shit online, and She's the one that like fucking set up these lights here. Yeah. Got a little bit of the green light going here. Get it pretty green in here. My wife, yeah, she found these cool lights. They're like light bulbs. They're smart light bulbs. And they come with this little fucking remote here. You can just change the lights from just regular ass lights to colored lights, nigga lights, if you will. Can make them nigga lights, but I've set the vibe. Alright, I got the vibe right, ladies and gentlemen. And you know what we're here to talk about today? We're here to talk about all the Jermaines. We're here to talk about all the Jermaines. Aljamain Sterling headlines a card in what should have been his backyard. He's a Staten Island native, and a fight took place in Newark, New Jersey, but the crowd seemed to not get that memo. We're going to talk about that headlining fight between Aljamain Sterling and Henry Cejudo, along with a few other fights at UFC 288. I was really into this card. I was listening to the Weasel's podcast, and he was reacting. He said he gave it like a 4.5 out of 10. When he said 4.5, I was like, oh, he must be out of 5. But he was like, out of 10. I was like, nigga, I thoroughly enjoyed that whole card for the most part. There were some good fights on that card. There was a lot of good fights, and there was a lot of good debuting people like this was a very interesting card. So we're gonna talk about some fights here, definitely, and we're gonna talk about next week's cards, give you guys some, not necessarily like I want to say predictions, but they're more so like Sadiq Yusuf style, unprofessional ass predictions, because like my predictions usually come on my picks that you will see on Instagram. Maybe I post on Twitter sometimes. But this past week, nigga, follow your boy, because I got 11 out of 12 fights right. And honestly, when I saw the shape Parker Porter was in, I was like, fuck, he's probably gonna win this fight. He's fighting Braxton Smith. It was his debut, UFC debut. And I was like, Parker Porter has never been in shape like this. He's in the shape of his life right now. Alright, Parker Porter is in the shape of his life. And I went against my gut feeling when I saw that, and I went with Parker Porter. I went with Braxton Smith, and that was the one fight I got wrong. So, if you live in a state where niggas be betting on fights, I think you need to follow your boy. Or maybe even if you need advice for your fucking your DraftKings, your daily fantasy sports, holler at your boy. Alright? I was like, I didn't understand why they call it daily fantasy sports, but I guess, you know, surprisingly there are people watch other sports other than combat sports, where like my shit usually for the most part happens on like Saturday. The shit I'm watching usually only happens at Saturday. So it's like daily. What do we need daily fantasy for? And it's like, oh, niggas is watching baseball, nigga? Get out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Well, we are going to talk about next week's card, headlined by Jairzinho Rozenstruik, taking on a tall task, my nigga, in Jailton Almeida. Alright, a tall task. I've been seeing Rozenstruik posting online. I don't even think I follow that nigga. I've been seeing him post on Twitter about how he's about to hit niggas with the Rozenstruik. And it's like, my nigga, do you know who you're fighting? Jailton Almeida? Nigga, we gonna talk about it. And a nigga like me be working at 4 o'clock in the morning most days. Done around noon, unless it's busy. And next week's card it starts at 10:30 Central Time. It'll be 10:30 a.m. Central Time. So I'm like, all right, I'll be able to watch that card and take my black ass to sleep at a fucking decent time. Like, I slept for, I went to sleep like just, it was like 12:30, I think, when the Aljo fight ended. You know what I'm saying? And it was just like, they raised his hand, Aljo, and I fucking, all right, turned it off. Went straight to bed. Had already tucked like Benadryl, which is basically a sleeping pill. I took some Benadryl, like, before the Yan Xiaonan fight, I took some Benadryl. Usually it fucking will knock me out in about 30 minutes, but I guess I started to doze off in the Bilal fight, but then I like adjusted, sat up, watched the rest of these fights, and then I fucking knocked out, slept for like maybe 2 hours and 45 minutes, woke up at like 3 o'clock in the morning and went to work. I like just took a nap. Maybe like a 3 hour, a decent ass 3 hour nap, 4 hour nap. I think like 3.5 hours. You know what I'm saying? If it's real that you can catch up on, it's not real that you can catch up on sleep. It's not a real thing. I've always thought about that. It was like one time I was in Denver and I caught this Uber, and I don't think it was a carpool Uber, but the nigga was like, yo, do you mind if I pick another nigga up? And I was like, nigga, do whatever you want. Like, I'm beating y'all up if I don't know, but it was some doctor ass nigga, some doctor, and he was in town for a conference, and he was saying like, and the driver was asking like, oh, what are you gonna do while you're in town? And he's like, just try and catch up on sleep. And I remember my friend Andrea was like, she was just doing a class or whatever where they were talking about how like, they're talking about sleep essentially, and how you can't catch up on sleep. There's like, if you deprive yourself of sleep, of the proper amount of sleep for like majority of the week or whatever, you can't just like sleep all day. Like, your body is already affected. It's the damage is done, my niggas. The damage is done. Anywho, I don't know if I told you niggas, this is episode 194 and we're calling this bad boy History. There's not how the lyrics go. Anywho, this is history in the making, and we're gonna talk about that history, ladies and gentlemen. But if you guys want to follow this podcast on Instagram and Twitter, it's at Babylon5Pod. You guys can email this podcast at Babylon5podcast@gmail.com. If you guys would like to hit that like button anywhere that you're listening to this podcast, I appreciate it so much. If you guys are on Twitch, go ahead and follow your boy at twitch.tv/Babylon5. If you guys would like to cop some merchandise, head on over to teespring.com/stores/BOFpod-shop. And lastly, don't just be my niche, be my patrons. Head on over to patreon.com/Babylon5Pod, and you can be my patron today, ladies and gentlemen. And we are talking about history. History, ladies and gentlemen. And what is history? What was on the line last night? Jermaine Sterling defending his belt against Henry Cejudo. Alright? For Henry Cejudo, who is 35, and they put out the stat that no fighter between the weight classes of like 125 up to 170, like there's only been one fighter that was able to win fights over the age of 35, and I believe Henry's probably 36 at that point. So there's 2 wins. That fighter has 2 wins, and that's Tyron Woodley is the only fighter above 35 to win championship fights. The only one. It's like 2-28 is the record, which is an interesting stat, I guess, because that stat seems noteworthy until you're like, well, why didn't they fucking include all the weight classes? Because heavyweight is a grown man sport, and most of them niggas is 40. So if you said that, like, oh, you add in heavyweights, immediately that number jumps up to like 100. Like 100 fucking title wins for niggas above 35. So you just have to exclude everybody that fucking makes that point look ridiculous. Like, makes it not even a talking point is my point. It makes it not even a talking point. So that's what's online for Henry Cejudo, the history of, can he overcome that hump? It's almost as if, who's that guy? The Gordon Ryan. It's almost like Gordon Ryan wrote this script. You know what I'm saying? There's only one black man that ever wants to work hard here, and clearly that's Tyron Woodley, according to Gordon Ryan, the racist Biju Jiu-Jitsu practitioner, the racist Gordon Ryan. Yeah, that's what's on the line for your boy. What's on the line for Aljamain Sterling, you ask? Well, no bantamweight champion had ever defended the belt more than twice. Alright? No one had defended the belt more than twice. So history was on the line on both sides, and history was made because we have, and still, Aljamain Sterling is still the bantamweight champion, ladies and gentlemen. For all the Jermaines, he did it. He fucking did it. Alright? Aljamain Sterling defeats Henry Cejudo in what I would describe as a really good fight. Really high level fight. Only issue I really had, honestly, was Aljo kept shooting from so far away. He was just telegraphing all the shots, and Henry was just shutting that down immediately. Like, them terrible shots. Like, I feel like he would get some shit on other fighters who aren't Olympic gold medal wrestlers, but Cejudo was shutting all that shit down. I didn't like that he was shooting like that. I thought Cejudo looked really good. He didn't look as fast as he was before he retired 3 years ago. Back then, he was super quick. Pop, pop, pop. He'd be sliding in and out and just fucking you up. He wasn't that super fast guy here. He still was good. I think a lot of people were making the argument that they felt that he won this fight. And I feel like he could still beat a lot of niggas up. Alright, he could beat a lot of niggas up. That was a good fight with Aljo. Aljo's length, his 7-inch reach advantage definitely played a part here. It definitely helped him out. He was able to outstrike Henry Cejudo from distance. He used his distance well. He fights tall. He's taller than pretty much most people in the division, except for probably Sean O'Malley, who was there last night. But just want to say congrats to the history-making Aljamain Sterling. Henry Cejudo says he believes that Aljamain is probably the bantamweight GOAT. After he lost to him, shit, I can't beat him. That's got to be the greatest nigga ever in this way. That's how I hear it. You know what I'm saying? If I can't beat the nigga, he's got to be the greatest nigga of all time. Which, I like that vibe. I like that vibe, nigga. Yeah, if you beat me, you gotta be the greatest, nigga. You Muhammad Ali or some shit. I fucks with it. Henry says he doesn't know if he's gonna retire or not after that fight. I don't think he should have retired the first time. Alright, he still looks great, and I'm saying he looks like he could beat a lot of niggas up, but he wasn't as quick. Wasn't as fast. There was a point where Aljo was shooting these bad takedowns. He's going for these bad takedowns from half a mile away. He's shooting from half a mile away. And at one point, fucking Henry catches him with a knee, but it wasn't as devastating. It wasn't like that super fast fucking... There was a lot of opportunities where he could have caught I think we're Henry Cejudo from 3 years ago, prior to retiring and eating a lot of pie, gaining, he got pretty big for a little bit for whatever reason. And before he did that for no reason, all right, because he retired and then immediately started calling out like Volkanovski. He was calling out people to fight immediately after he retired, and it was like, nigga, you could have just stayed in the testing pool. But now he looks a little slower. But I'm telling you, that Henry Cejudo could still beat niggas up. I don't know what's next for him if he fights again. I don't know what's next for him, but congrats to Aljamain Sterling on the victory. And we know what's next for Aljamain Sterling. They have Sugar Sean O'Malley coming to the octagon. He's wearing his Michael Jackson jacket, that red jacket with all them zippers. Now, I don't think there's a lot of zippers on this one. But anywho, so as he comes in and they're doing some just nonsense arguments between Sean O'Malley and Aljamain Sterling, just yelling at each other. Like, it was kind of one of the... It looked dumb as fuck, alright? When Davison Figueiredo came into the octagon after Brandon Moreno beat Kai Kara France, I thought that moment was dope. Maybe they're trying to recapture those moments by letting fighters come into the octagon. Like, Kobe wasn't brought into the octagon after the last Leon fight because Leon said no. Leon was like, no. Sean O'Malley was pretty much already in the octagon before Aljo was like, bring him in here, and Sean O'Malley was already like standing right behind him at that point. You know, there was nobody stopping O'Malley from getting into the octagon. He's just like, you better be better than that. You better be better than that. And what I thought was most interesting about this interaction, other than Merab taking Sean O'Malley's Michael Jackson jacket, a lot of people were big fans of that. I was just like, how do you guys not love Merab, who I called to be the next champion after Aljo, and y'all niggas thought I was crazy. And then he fucking dominates Petrian, and y'all like, oh shit, he might actually be the next nigga. He might be that nigga. He is that nigga. Yeah, he takes that jacket. But what I thought was most interesting between this interaction between Aljo and Sugar Sean O'Malley, Asuka O'Malley, was that Sterling said to O'Malley, sorry, there's too many people here. There's fucking Merab, Quinta in these photos. There's too many people here. He just fought Cejudo, all this shit, man. It's too many people. Got Matt Serra back there, Longo, Dana. It's too many people. Anywho, Aljo says to O'Malley, how come you turned down the fight the first time? Well, I guess you've had a year to touch up on your grappling. And, like, when he's saying this to O'Malley, like, O'Malley's, like, talking shit. Like, you better be better than that. You better be better. You better be getting ready to cut weight. He's, like, screaming at him, saying all this shit. Then Sterling says that, like, why didn't you accept the fight the first time? Sean, shut the fuck up. All right? He shut the fuck up. I hadn't heard anybody even mention that the fight was ever offered to O'Malley before. I even listen to that nigga's podcast sometimes. I don't remember him saying that he was offered the fight. He was saying he would be the backup fighter for this fight. And he kept talking about how he wanted to fight Henry. He never once mentioned that he was offered this fight tonight and turned it down. He never mentioned that. That's interesting. He shut the fuck up. All right. He shut the fuck up when Sterling mentioned that he was offered the fight and turned it down. Because we all know what's going to happen in this fight. All right. We know what's going to happen in this fight. Well, we know what's most likely to happen. I mean, Sean O'Malley could touch him up and be too elusive, maybe. He's taller. I don't know the reach. I'm not sure of the reach difference there, but he's definitely gonna try to fight from a distance. He doesn't want Aljo to fucking be able to grab him. You know what I'm saying? So, and if Aljo does get his hands on O'Malley, I believe that fight's over. Alright? Only way that fight isn't over is if he can't get his hands on O'Malley until there's like only 30 seconds left in the round. Alright, he's gonna need to be saved by the bell, because I believe once the grappling starts between Aljo and O'Malley, that fight is over. That fight is fucking over. Okay? O'Malley's gonna have nothing, absolutely nothing for Aljamain Sterling. That's gonna be the 4th title defense. Your boy's making history. Shout out to Aljamain Sterling. Shout out to Aljamain Sterling for all the Jermaines, ladies and gentlemen. In the co-main, speaking of the mains, we had my boy Belal Muhammad beating that boy the fuck up. Alright? Belal beats up Burns. He hurt him a lot on the feet. I thought he was going to finish him. So in the first round, Burns shot for a takedown on Muhammad. Muhammad sprawled, and just the way that Gilbert landed, he fucking injured his shoulder, his left shoulder, so he couldn't use it for the rest of the fight. He was fighting with one arm, but the job still needed to be done. And Belal beat that ass. And I'm not even cutting this nigga no slack. I'm not cutting Burns no slack. I fucks with Burns. I told y'all last week I fucks with both of these fighters, but I'm not cutting that nigga no slack. Alright? Because all we saw all week with Belal was that, Belal's hurt. Look at his foot. People are posting like images of his foot, how it's swollen. They're like posting videos, like, look at how he's walking off the scale. He was like kind of limping. And then as they show the video of him arriving at the arena for the fight last night, he was very clearly limping hard. All right. So all we heard all week, and then all we can see leading up to the fight, even when they're warming up, dude, fucking Burns is getting loose. And then they cut over to Belal, and he's just kind of shadow boxing, but not moving. His feet are pretty much staying stationary, and I was like, damn, this ain't probably gonna go too well for my boy. But then it turns out fucking Gilbert Burns gets hurt in the fight, and at that point it's even. In my opinion, you both are dealing, like, I feel like Belal was basically on one leg and had to just keep coming forward, and then you had Burns with one arm and he was coming forward. So I'm not cutting no niggas no slack on this one, because if your boy Burns, you niggas, I picked Belal. If Burns had won this fight, you guys would have been like, yep, Belal sucks, he's not that good, he shouldn't have fought injured. But like, he did, and he went out there and he did the damn thing. So congrats to Belal Muhammad. Fast recoveries to Gilbert Burns. They're saying Belal will fight the winner of Leon Edwards versus Colby. I think that's a tough matchup for anybody. The rematch for Edwards Muhammad would be interesting. I would like to see Belal fight all these guys. He's great. He's great everywhere. And I would love for Habib to be in this corner for whoever it is, especially if he fights Colby. Dude, if he fights Colby and then he brings Habib and the whole squad with him in the back, oh my God, that fight sold right there, bro. You gotta train with Habib if you're gonna fight Colby, bro. Ooh, Colby and Habib, just like, that would overshadow everything. Like, Colby chirping at Habib would even overshadow the fight with Belal, but it's fucking entertainment. I'm chomping at the bit just thinking about this shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, fuck. That would be, you gotta be with the whole squad, but I think he's gonna need it. He's gonna need some of that Dagestani training, cause that Dagestani training will do a nigga right. We're gonna talk about that in a second here, man. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna switch this up, and we're gonna talk about a new Dagestani fighter has entered the scene, my niggas. Ikram Alexskarov. Alright, he fought Philip Hawes. And I was familiar with Philip Hawes. And I said last week, when that 6'5" nigga beat up that Quinlan nigga, Josh Quinlan, I was like, fuck, why didn't I watch the face-off? Had I seen the face-off and seen that this nigga was fucking 6'5", Jake, the tallest active welterweight, I would have looked into him. Because I would have been like, yo, this is a crazy mismatch. And when I saw the face-off between Hawes and Alexskarov, I was like, yo, this Ikram Alexskarov nigga looks like he should be fighting in a higher weight class than Philip Hawes. He looked gigantic next to Philip Hawes. And I was like, let me look this nigga up. And it was like record 13-1. I'm like, 13-1? He's not an undefeated Russian? Dagestani nigga. And I look it up. I'm like, who did he lose to? When did he lose? Probably, I was thinking maybe the first fight of his career. And it's nope. His only loss is to fucking Hamzat Chimaev. Boars, nigga. Boars. It's that guy. And right away I was like, oh shit, he's about to dominate Hawes. And sure enough, with a smooth 1-2, he fucking knocks Hawes off. Just so clean. He just caught him with this like deft touch, and like he just sat down. Not like Hawes just like sat down and was over. You know what I'm saying? He laid out slowly. It was insane, dude. Ikram Alexskarov, he calls out Bo Nickel. Calls out Bo fucking Nickel. Right away I was like, ooh, he murdered Bo Nickel. And they cut to DC, or they just like ask him, like John Anik's like, ooh, and you're shaking your head, DC, when he says that call out. And DC's like, well, I don't like that fight at all. And he's like, because Ikram is so fucking experienced that pretty much he would beat the shit out of Bo Nickel. He's saying Bo Nickel needs a little more experience before he's ready for that fight. That's not how it works. You're in the UFC, my nigga. That's not how it works. You don't need no time. It's time for Bo Nickel versus Ikram Alexskarov. That's what y'all... They are not gonna give the American golden boy Bo Nickel, who gets put on the UFC 4 cover before he even has a UFC fight. Alright, their fucking golden boy is not gonna fight this monster. Ikram Alexskarov is a fucking monster. And I tried to tell niggas, when I saw it, I was like, oh, niggas was posting like, alright, Hawes is gonna knock this guy out. And I'm like, no, bro, like, please rethink this. Please, brother, rethink this. Like, nah, man. Ikram Alexskarov is a monster. He's calling out Bo Nickel, which would be a hype win for him. But I was just arguing against niggas fast tracking people. But I think we could see Alexskarov against someone in the top 15. I mean, where is Hawes? I feel like he wasn't too far off from the top 15. I mean, he's 2 losses here, but maybe top 20 at least. Prior to this fight, it was just 1 fight. But anywho, yeah, Ikram's a beast, man. These fucking Dagestani niggas. He's out there training with Habib. He grew up with fucking Islam. Alright, grew up with Islam Makhachev. And he looked like the same nigga, damn near. I was looking for these photos of Ikram. I was like, that ain't Ikram, that's Islam. I had to like look. I mean, hold up, that is Ikram. They look like the same nigga half time. But yo, we got another scary ass Dagestani nigga. All right, he's here, and he ain't playing no fucking games. Last night, also from the Sarah Longo team, All right, we had Matt the Steamroller Frivola steamrolling through Judober. He finishes the Crimson Chin via knockout. All right, Matt the Steamroller Frivola. I fucks with Matt Frivola. And he just a cool ass nigga, you know what I'm saying? I be chatting, I randomly like will chat with this nigga on Twitter. It blows my mind. Cause you know, it's like that Kanye thing when he, the last call, he's talking about being around, or yeah, just being around with like Jay-Z and all these people, and he's like, these are like superstars in my eyes, and they still are. So like, when these niggas right here like are just down to just have a back and forth with niggas, I'm like, you know, I'm starstruck. Cause these niggas is superstars in my eyes, and they still are. So shout out to the boy Matt the Steamroller Frivola, who is likely gonna be ranked at least number 14, I would imagine, after knocking out number 14. And then he unfortunately calls out Patty Pimblett, which I'm not with that, just because Patty's not ranked. You're now gonna be ranked 14. Don't fight back just because that nigga's popular. Alright? What if he fuck around and catch you in a submission? You know what I'm saying? Fucking, what if that unfortunately happens? There's just no reason to even give that man that chance. You're ranked. Alright? You're too high to be going down trying to fight them little niggas, man. Fight niggas in the rankings, man. Fight Gamrot. Fight Mateusz Gamrot. Alright? Fight a nigga like, call that nigga out. Fight Moicano, nigga. Call them niggas out. Don't call that nigga Patty. I'm not with that call out. Next week, as I said, we have UFC on ABC, nigga. And this card starts at 10:30 a.m. Central Time next week. So I'm pretty hype on that. The headlining fight is Jairzinho Rozenstruik versus Jailton Almeida. And as you niggas should know, as I preach here all the time, I fucking hate, I'm not a big fan of heavyweight fights, but I think they should get rid of that division altogether. Cause there's really only like 5 niggas that know how to do anything but just throw their fucking big arm and just hope that it lands. They just swing and pray, dude. Like, cause yeah, you're big as fuck. You're 300 fucking pounds in there, and yeah, your punch is gonna knock somebody out, and it happens. But it's funny. I listen to just a side note, the G Street News Network is prison stories, and there's these 7-foot tall prison predators. One guy's named Beast, and the other guy's name's Yanni. Beast is, he said, I think he described Beast as 7 feet tall, 340 all muscle. Yanni 7'2", 310 all muscle, and they just like walk up on niggas, one punch, knock them out, and fuck them right there. These prison predators. So you know, these big niggas, it just take one punch like that. So it's not that interesting to me. If that's every fight, just one punch KOs basically, or if you don't luckily get that one punch KO, you're tired as fuck. Before the first round ends, they're both just gassed, and it's like, well, who's gonna land a big punch on the other gassed out person first? I hate this division, but one of them 5 niggas I fucks with, Jailton Almeida. He's not a natural heavyweight. I believe he's naturally fighting at light heavyweight, but just to like, he just took fights at heavyweight, I think just to like not cut, or it was like a short notice fight, and he was just dominating niggas at heavyweight. So he was like, yeah, I'll just stay here. And now they're booking him against Jairzinho Rozenstruik, which, do you know what Rozenstruik is known for? Oh shit, knocking niggas out with one punch because he's a big fucking dude. Alright? Big fucking heavyweight. That's what he's known for, is knocking niggas out with one punch. That's that whole fucking division, nigga. It's the whole fucking division. Every debuting fucking heavyweight, it's like, oh shit, this nigga knocks people out in the first round. Yeah, guess what? Everybody else does. Because this division is fucking terrible. But Jay Elton, who's not a natural heavyweight, like Rosenstrike's probably going to weigh in like 250, 260. Jay Elton Almeida's probably going to weigh in at like 220. Okay? He's just not cutting weight. He's not as big as most of the fucking heavyweights that are fucking going to be like 300 pounds on fight night. But he is a savage with his jiu-jitsu, and he is going to fucking basically rape Jairzinho Rozenstruik all over that octagon for one round and then submit him. I believe that's how that fight goes. It's going to be a one-round fight. I don't understand why it's the headline fight, because, I mean, I guess you give Jay Elton a little bit of spotlight, but I don't believe that fight is going to be that long of a fight. It's on ABC. I believe the headliner was Anthony Smith versus Johnny Walker, but they switched it to that other fight. I think this fight, I don't know, man. This fight, so with Anthony Smith and Johnny Walker, dude, they're both unfortunately, like, and I mean this in the nicest way possible. If you niggas knew me back in the day, I was the biggest fan of this guy. Alright? I don't watch too much basketball these days, but when I did, Chris Middleton was my fucking boy. It's Chris Middleton jerseys over there in that closet. And these two niggas are the Chris Middletons of the UFC. Both of these niggas are the Chris Middletons of the UFC. Highly inconsistent performances, but guess what? When these niggas are on, these niggas look like world beaters. So, when they're on, when Chris Middleton is on, he look like Kobe out there. He hitting everything. Alright? Look like fucking Kobe out there. I don't know, not Kobe. I don't want to say Kobe. I don't know, the way he shoots. I forget, there's a player I was thinking of, but I can't, it's not coming to mind. Anywho, these niggas are the Chris Middleton of the UFC. You know, you don't really know what you're going to get. Are we going to get a focused, locked in Johnny Walker that's out here to win this fight and is going to take these chances? Are we going to get a fucking Anthony Smith that's coming forward with the strikes, great head movement, great jiu-jitsu, ready to fucking be a savage out there? Are we going to get the fucking turtle shell of Anthony Smith? Are we going to get the fucking Johnny Walker where if the wind blows too hard on Johnny Walker, he's going out? So I don't know what we're going to get from this fight, man. But I'm a huge Anthony Smith fan. And you know, he walks out to one of the greatest songs of all time, Return of the Mac. Alright? Love it when that song comes on. It gets me amped every time this nigga comes out to that song. He said, they asked him about the song, he said he plays it. He's like, because nobody can be upset when Return of the Mac is on. And I agree with that, my nigga. You get me hype every time I hear it. So, rolling with Anthony Smith to beat Johnny Walker. But as I'm saying, these niggas are the Chris Middletons of the UFC. They're fucking inconsistent most nights, but when they're on, they're fucking on. That's how I feel about them niggas. And the last fight we're going to talk about here tonight is Daniel Rodriguez versus Ian Machado Gary. Machado, don't forget the Machado, nigga. And the Machado is for phenomenal. I was like, what did that nigga say? Weezy F baby, but the F is for phenomenal. Like, okay, nigga. I thought you had straight A's in school. Anywho, Daniel Rodriguez versus Ian Machado Gary. I was a big Daniel Rodriguez fan back in the day, but I'm honestly gonna say, like, I've kind of cooled off on that hype train. I think we've seen where his ceiling is. I think he's a bit older. Ian Gary Machado, he almost got knocked out in his last fight, and I was there. It was John Jones. His last fight was on the same card as John Jones, Surreal Gun. So I feel like that was March. That was the beginning of March. He almost got knocked out in that fight, and he's already back and fighting pretty hard-hitting Daniel Rodriguez. I mean, Daniel Rodriguez doesn't really have any finishes in the UFC, does a lot of decisions, but we see that Ian Machado Gary, he's got sharp boxing, man. This is an interesting fight. And I think I saw, what's the guy's name? I'm forgetting his name, on YouTube. Damn, I fucks with this guy. I can't believe I don't remember his name. But he does videos, and he was going with how he's picking Daniel Rodriguez to win this fight. I don't know if he was picking him to finish. I can't remember if that's what he was saying, but I know he's going with Daniel Rodriguez to defeat Ian Gary. But I just think Gary's striking is going to be just a little too refined for the dog, the brawler of Daniel Rodriguez. All right, I believe Gary will be too technically sound for Daniel Rodriguez, but I could be wrong. And if you guys would like to follow this podcast, I might get up out of here. It's some interesting fights next week. Let me just put this graphic back up here just to have something interesting on the screen. Let me look into this. Because there were some fights on that card. On this Rosenstrike Almeida card. So, yeah, we got Mackenzie Dern taking on Angela Hill. That's going to be a crazy fight there. You guys already know I'm a huge Angela Hill fan. I root for everyone that's black. So let's go, Angie. You got Tim Means versus Alex Morono. That should be a good fight. This should be a pretty interesting fight. Matt Brown versus Court McGee. Like, those two fights back to back there is wild to me. It's very interesting. Those are interesting fights. If you're a diehard, you're hype about those fights there. But we got some interesting fights. Another fight that's like early, second fight of the night, Brian Battle versus Gabe Green. I like Gabe Green a lot. I like Brian Battle. He's shown me a lot in the fights that he's had. And he fought a monster. He fought one of them Russian monsters in his last fight, and he didn't get finished. So that showed me a lot, actually. He's getting destroyed by this Russian monster, but he didn't get finished. So I really respected Brian Battle in that one. That's going to be a crazy fight. We got the return in the very first fight of Jessica Rose Clark taking on Tainara Lisboa. There's no picture for this fighter. 32.55. Not a lot of information on this fighter, but it is what it is. So there are more good fights than I put pictures of. in the Instagram. But yeah, I'm hyped for that card. And we will talk about it next week, ladies and gentlemen. And if you want to follow this podcast on Instagram and Twitter, it's at Babylon5Pod. You guys can email this podcast at Babylon5Podcast@gmail.com. If you guys would like to hit that like button anywhere that you're listening to this podcast, god damn it, I'd appreciate that so much. If you guys would like to follow this podcast on Twitch, you can follow your boy at twitch.tv/BabbleOn5. And if you guys would like to cop some merchandise, head on over to teespring.com/store/BOFpod-shop. And lastly, don't just be my niggas or my Niji, be my patrons. Head on over to patreon.com/Babylon5Pod and you can be my patron today. Niggas and bitches, ladies and gents, thank you so much for being here another week. This is episode 194, History. Because history has been made as Aljamain Sterling is the first bantamweight champion to successfully defend his belt 3 times. So congrats to Jermaine for all the Jermaines, ladies and gentlemen. And it's your boy Jermaine Event getting out of here, and I'll see you guys next week, same time, same nigga channel. I hope you guys are taking care of yourselves and each other, and I'll see you when I see you. I'll holla.
Babylon kingdom, that he make we chant down.